ready to serve with renewed energy and purpose. This we ask through Christ our Lord. Amen. The Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit.
So we always stand for the national anthem.
Mga kababayan, ang pambansang awit ng Pilipinas. Mga kababayan, ang pambansang awit ng Pilipinas.
Let's recite the RC Makati hymn.
We're the Rotary Club of Makati, and together we stand proud. We are leaders with integrity, always ready to serve humanity, always living by the four-way test, building goodwill and peace along the way, giving hope to the world. We're the Rotary Club of Makati, prepared to aid our fellow men. As true Rotarians we live to lead. We believe in service above self, and this is why we succeed. We're the Rotary Club of Makati, and together we stand proud. We are leaders with integrity, always ready to serve humanity, always living by the four-way test, building goodwill and peace along the way, giving hope to the world. We're the Rotary Club of Makati, giving hope to the world. The Rotary Club of Makati.
That was wonderful singing. Not reciting, thank you. So may we ask our guests to sit down and all the Rotans stand up for the four-way test. As we recite, the four-way test of things that we think, we say, and do. First, is it the truth? Second, is it fair to all concerned? Third, will it build goodwill and better friendships? And fourth, will it be beneficial to all concerned? So you know the answer. It's all yes. All right. Thank you. Please have a seat. All right. Thank you. Thank you. So let's be seated. So we would like to thank everybody to be able to attend tonight, despite the rains and typhoon coming. And we look forward to a good turnout for this regular meeting, especially that it's a ladies' night. So We are very happy to have our guests and dignitaries for tonight. So, at first, we would like to start our dignitaries. So, first and foremost, we'll call PDG Tony Kila. Let's give him a hand. And also, another PDG Peps Bengson. And not only the dignitaries, but the lovely aunts as well. First and foremost, we have the first Anne, Rachel Harrison. And we have, of course, Annika is also our first our Anne that will be speaking today. And our Anne, Melanie Lopez. And Meg Revilla. And Deli Yap. And last but not the least, my Anne, Angela Garcia. And Doris, sorry. Yes. All right. So also, we have also guests for tonight. We have Rhea Laureano, the guest of FA Rachel Harrison. As a visiting Rotarian. Yeah, sorry. It wasn't in the notes, sorry. So we all welcome you tonight, and we are very excited for the topic for the meeting today. So also, we would also visiting Rotarians, and we would like to ask our Rotarians to stand up for the welcome song.
Friends of Rotary, we greet you. Oh, friends of Rotary, we greet you. We want you to feel that our friendship is real. We are glad you're here today. So take back home a little cheer. Regards from all the fellows here. And when once more you're here adored, come again, our friends, come again.
Welcome. Okay, so as we also celebrate also the salutations for our birthdays and wedding anniversaries, we would like to mention for our birthday celebrants for the month of October, Mr. Tony Tan, 26th of October. Felix Ang, 28th of October. Hiro Oba, 28th of October. J. Bernardo, October 30. Sam Young, October 31st. Doc Andrew Prieto, November 2. David Aboitis, November 2. And CB Revilla, November 2. Yay! So advance greetings to you. And also our aunts that are celebrating this month. We have also Teodi Buenaflor, 23rd of October. Rina Collantes, 25th of October. Sue Ann Nolido, 31st of October. And we also would want to greet wedding anniversaries. Freddie and Ali Placino today. June and Beth Periquet, October 27. George and Annika Haxton, November 2. Dr. Boy and Jeline Arteche, November 3. So you better get some strength in that knees, Attorney Boy, okay? Minimum 3 rounds. I know. Minimum. No maximum yet. All right. So, okay. So, for birthday song, can we ask the RDS? Nah, just kidding. Future governor? Naku. Or PP Junjun Dairit. Ah. Ayan. PP Junjun.
Yeah, Ron, let's hear it.
Okay. It is your birthday and wedding day. Let's celebrate this important day. We greet you deep in our hearts still. A happy birthday and happy wedding day.
Wow, the future President Tony Lopez.
That's only preparation for the typhoon and before the All Saints Day. Thank you. So happy birthday, CB. All right. So an anniversary. Yeah, anniversary. Correct. So we have also this part of mentioning club functions committee or any updates. PE Eddie.
Yeah, hello. I just want to take this opportunity again to thank everybody that supported Oktoberfest, for a very successful and fun affair. I want to thank our donors again to recognize them: Universal Leaf Philippines, care of Winston Uy, Anthony Jude AJ Piolago, our new Rotarian, Felix Ang, Balibago Waterworks, care of Tito Panillo, and my firm, GGNA Club Shares. And then also the donors that contributed their birthday celebration to this affair: Past President Carlo Rufino, Jim Bosch, Past President Eddie Yap, Roger Collantes, Carlo Ibanez, Felix Ang, Sam Yang, Andrew Pietro, CB Revilla, Director Johnny Ang, VP Chris Ferreresa, Ed Rojas, and Michael Su. Okay. Thank you very much for your generosity. And of course, special thanks to President Keith, who thought up of the idea. The committee members: Paulo Turno, Anton Cabrera, CB Revilla, Bom Villatuya, and Howie for emceeing the evening.
Howie! Special mention.
And of course, Chief of Staff Ron and Angie,
Ron.
Ria, Richard, Aaron, and Jess for your invaluable help. I'm happy to announce to you guys that safely we netted about 280,000.
Wow!
Okay. Congratulations. Thank you.
It was a great project and for a worthy cause. Other committees, updates or announcements?
Yeah, I have two announcements to make, okay? On Saturday is the 8th anniversary of the Sanlakbay Drug Rehab Program that was started in 2016. If you recall, that was the start of the EJK, the killings. And the Archdiocese of Manila responded by launching a drug rehab program for those people who were addicted to drugs. So rather than killing them and shooting them, rehabilitate them. So that program has been going on for 8 years. And on Saturday is going to be the 8th anniversary. So I'm inviting anyone who wants to come. It will be at 9 o'clock at the Archdiocesan Shrine of Espiritu Santo in Santa Cruz, Manila. We will depart from here, the clubhouse, at 8 a.m. so that we will arrive there by 9. Okay, so if you want to join, please come to the clubhouse and we can go together. But for those of you who want to go direct, we will have the address posted. The program will start, I think, with the Mass at 9 a.m. This will be on Saturday, October 26. My other announcement is my wife, Cecil, who is not here because she has to do something, she asked me to make an announcement because she and Rose Galvez and I think our first aunt here, Rachel, have volunteered to help our immediate past president, Bing Matoto, who doesn't have an aunt, to raise funds for our Last Angel gift giving this Christmas. All right, so I think there already have been people who have volunteered to contribute. For your information, last year, 2023, we raised more than 1 million pesos in cash and in kind. So hopefully we can overcome that or exceed that amount for this year, because I think we have a lot more. Do we have a lot more children, beneficiaries in our, how many? 8?
3,000.
Oh, we have 3,000 kids to make happy this Christmas. So please be generous. No, inform the secretariat how much you're willing to donate for this last angel gift giving, which will start, I think, sometime by the end of November. We will go the rounds of all of our project sites, and the children there will be given gifts for Christmas. So thank you very much, and good evening to everyone.
Yes, let's continue to support, especially during this time of Christmas season and all these projects. So next in our agenda will be, there's a classical Christmas concert. So we would like to ask President Keith to talk about this. Yes.
Actually, I wonder whether... is it straight to me afterwards?
Yeah, then you do the president's stuff.
Okay. It seems to be that there's quite some muted sound, so I'm going to stand here and see if this microphone works any better. With regard to the Christmas, which is coming here, it's already a Ber month, and therefore we are already hearing music in the malls. But this particular Christmas, we also want to hear music a la PP Eddie Yap style. Where is he? He was here a minute ago. And on the 10th of December, we will have a classical Christmas concert. And this is a club event, and we're really encouraging every club member to participate, and not only participate with themselves and their spouses, but also bring their friends and families and spread the word. It is an event which will be held in the style of the event that we had a year ago on the 5th floor, or called the Rockwell at the 5th, and it will encompass the Philippine Philharmonic Orchestra and a group of choristers and individual singers who will delight us all in the evening with a classical Christmas concert. The screen here is very small writing, so never mind, but please put this in your diaries. It's the 10th of December. It won't interfere with any other Christmas parties providing you don't have one on that day. 10th of December, please. You'll be there, yes? Okay. I'm going to mention this again in my speech because it's actually included in my speech, but PP Eddie, would you like to add anything to what's going to happen that evening, or is it a complete surprise?
Thank you, Kit. Based on your instruction last, wait, what's that? Last week or the other day? This is okay. Thank you. I'm supposed to give you a rundown on the Christmas concert. But then, I remember you mentioned that before this, I will be giving a presenting some of the
No, just if there was anything you want to add. I think we know your
yeah,
style.
we have it. We have it.
Have it there.
No, we have it. Ron, can you please, play it? For those who have not attended my previous concert, this will give you an idea of what we had done.
Some enchanted evening, someone may be laughing. You may hear her laughing across a crowded room. The night after night, as strange as it seems, the Angelano meno sola. Io sogno d'anime che sono sempre vive come le nuvole che volano.
This time I'll be bigger and brighter than your so watch me fly. You won't know I can do it. Cold ice on my hands from shaking. Has there ever been a moment? It's so much to live for.
And suddenly I found how wonderful a sound can be. Maria, saying loud and as music playing. Say it soft and it's almost like praying. Maria, never stop saying, Maria, Maria, with moons all over the place. Tonight, tonight, the world is wild and bright, going mad, shooting stars into space. Today, the world was just an abyss, a place for me to live in, no better than alright. You won't believe all the things you'll see. I know 'cause you'll see them all with me. And we're together, that's when we'll hear it again. A song played on a solo saxophone. A crazy sound, a lonely sound, a cry that tells us love goes on and on. Played on.
Still I dream he'll come to me, and we will live the years together. But there are dreams that cannot be, and there are storms we cannot weather.
Okay. That's an excerpt rather of the concert that I produced for the Rotary Club of Makati and Makati Premier District last February. So for December, for the Christmas concert, the what we will have is a classical type of concert, and they will be presented to you by the Philippine Philharmonic Orchestra, the Coro Tomasino, plus six vocalists, six classically trained vocalists. Now, the you know, the with this ensemble, you will be regaled with the glorious sound of Christmas. So without my having to describe them, perhaps I present to you the excerpts of three pieces. Okay, Ron. Well, that was the finale. Hallelujah uh, from the Messiah by Handel. Now, so you will see that the concert will consist not only of instrumental music but also vocalists. Now, for those of you who have attended the concert that I produce, you will know that that is the kind of quality that you'll be getting. Now, thank you so much.
Thank you very much. We're very much looking forward to it. In terms of some of the more practical arrangements, I'd like to invite Tony Lopez to tell us a few more things about it.
Thank you, Press Cree. I was seated beside Delhi, and I said, I'm so impressed by what her husband Eddie is doing for us. And she mentioned, but you see, that's what goes on in his mind all day. Music. He really knows his music. Okay? So, that is why we approached Eddie for this concert. But let me give a little bit of a background. 3 months ago, in one event like this, I was so innocently sitting in one of those chairs, chatting with people, and first Anne Rachel came to me and said, Tony, we have to do a concert. And I said, I don't know what you're talking about. We have to do a fundraising. So I told her, if you want to do a concert, if Eddie Yap agrees to produce it, then I will get involved. And all of a sudden, a few minutes later, she brought Eddie Yap and said, PP Eddie is okay to do a Christmas concert. And I just want to give credit to where that all came from. So, and then of course, Eddie, which is why I sang earlier. But PP Louie said I should not even try to get involved in the concert, so I won't. So this is how I got sucked into being the chairman of the fundraising committee. So you all had an announcement from President Keith, a preview from PP Eddie Yap, and now let me tell you the mechanics of the ticket sales. There will be 2 types of tickets. The regular, 3,500 pesos, and the premium, which is 5,000 pesos. What President Keith had not mentioned, which I begged him to mention, is to declare that this is an official Rotary Club of Makati event. Yes. And as such, you are going to now get some of the flyers. No, I'm just joking. So it's an official event, and everybody's encouraged to buy at least 2 tickets, maybe more. 2 tickets for you and your aunt, maybe more tickets for family, and even more tickets for very close friends. After all, it's Christmas. And this is supposed to usher in the Christmas season. Now, what does this entail for a Rotary Club of Makati member? You will have 3 privileges. Number 1, since this is an official event of the club, 170 seats, that's the dark blue portion in the middle, will be reserved for RC Makati member bookings or reservation. It could be for you, your aunt, your children, your family, your guests. It's first come, first serve, 150 seats in the dark blue, and 80 seats in the regular, which is the dark blue on the left and the dark blue on the right. Okay? These are the best seats. So that's reserved for RC Makati members. It will be on first come, first serve. Second privilege, if you buy the ticket or reserve and ask your account to be debited, there will be an early bird 10% discount. So not only do you have the best seats, you also have a 10% discount. Okay? And then, because it is an official Rotary Club of Makati event, there will be fellowship, pre-show cocktails at 6 o'clock. Only for RC Makati members and their guests at 6 o'clock. When you get the flyer, when you get your tickets, it is announced that it's at 7. But for you, RC Makati, you come at 6. That's the pre-cocktail, pre-show cocktail. Okay. Reservations, discounts only apply until November 15, unless it gets sold out earlier. Okay. I'll give you an idea. PP Eddie reserved more than 100 seats already for his friends. Okay? I've reserved 15. So guys, get moving because the reserved seats are not ready. Now, what did I do? I actually pulled out my Christmas list. And I said, these are really good friends. Why don't I treat them to something special? Of course, it'll cost a little bit more. But you know, I'll be with my friends. I booked 15, so I'll be around, Melanie and I will be around 13 friends, really special friends. Okay. 6 or 7 members in the club have received a letter from me. If you haven't, you're blessed. But if they have received a letter, that's 200,000 donation. Now, if you haven't received the letter, just buy tickets. Right? Just buy tickets. This will really help our club. Why are we doing this? Since I joined, I forgot what year, 2016 or 2017, I have not encountered a major fundraising exercise from RC Makati since I joined the club. What does that mean? It's as if the tradition is gone. I just thought maybe we should bring it back. All fundraising involves fellowship. In fact, it's a deeper fellowship. In this concert, we'll all be seeing each other. We're all stuck with each other in the same section in dark blue. So it'll be a good fellowship. It's time to bring it back. And maybe I just want to plug this in. The foundation has lost a big source of income. And the foundation has had to dig deep into our corpus, the intact liquidity corpus, to sustain the term of President Keith. And so we're making steps to recover from where we are, but we don't know how soon we can recover. But we have the funds to support PE Eddie as well. But we have to replenish that. So that's why it will help if the club has its own source of funding and not rely completely on the foundation. The foundation is there. The foundation is not keeping anything. Most of its funds go to the club. But sometimes the club's requirement exceeds the capability of the foundation. So, how does one reserve? I'm sorry, I'm taking too much time. How does one reserve? There is the RC Makati Viber group. While reserving, you must indicate in your message that your member's account will be charged auto debit on your next statement of account. So, you may reserve your ticket. It will be debited to your account, but you have to say so. You have to say that please debit my account on that message. You can do bank transfer to BPI, or the club is making an arrangement with a software provider called Just to Pay, so that you can access their app, you can pay, and the amount goes directly to the BPI account of RC Makati. Okay. We have a special beneficiary for this concert. Okay. Director Chris there is very strict with us. We have to, everything that's coming in is coming in as a donation, because he's warning me of tax implications and the like. But please come and support our show. It will be an impactful concert, I'm guarantee you, because it's a PP Eddie Yap produced concert. We gave you excerpts. You can see how beautiful it all is. I was there, by the way, last February, and I enjoyed it. And I also had so many guests. Okay? So when you have the chance, tomorrow, think of buying your tickets. But don't worry, our first message to you on the Viber group is to encourage you to buy tickets already. Please do so. Let's make this all a success with your support. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Tony. It's, am I allowed to stand here? You should sit down. Relax, relax. So, Inigo was going to introduce me, but I've relieved him of the task. Okay, I might move. So I can't emphasize enough the importance of what Tony has been talking about and what PP Eddie has been talking about. Really looking forward to having a classical as well as a magical Christmas with everybody. So, back to slightly different matters now. A huge congratulations to our club and to IPP Bing Matoto for the incredible achievements celebrated at the District Awards Night for the Rotary year 2023-2024. We were honored with the prestigious Best of the Best Award, the highest recognition in the district as a club, reflecting our outstanding performance across all areas of Rotary service. Now you can see we pulled in everybody to hold the awards up and the certificates up, and the first time that IPP now, Bing, is in one of our regular meetings, we will have a nice big display and we will celebrate it with him here. But I don't want to do that now. I want to let you know about it. And hopefully when he's back in a week or so's time, we'll be preparing for us celebrating with him then. We were also ranked #1 in the district per capita annual giving, highlighting our members' generosity. So I know we've just asked you to be even more generous, but congratulations to everybody who's already been generous to the Rotary Foundation. These awards affirm our tremendous impact and all our efforts this past year, and congratulations to IPP Bing and the board and advisors and every member for your contribution and support. Now, on to what we were doing last week. This time I'm standing in front of the screen so I can check on you, okay? On the 17th of October, so last Friday, or Friday, in this room over here, we had 500 students, actually 2 batches of 250 each, from the General Pio del Pilar National High School, attending 2 showings of the environmental movie A Thousand Forests at our clubhouse. I had the privilege of welcoming them and introducing Emma Trinidad, who's now going to stand up. From I shoot. Why is it spelt with a Y? Never mind. I shoot. You can explain it later. who provided great insights into the film's background. The University of the Philippines, Los Baños exhibit, which has been left at the Sisters of Mary for the past week, will be moved across to the library of the school so that they can too experience the understanding of nature and the environment and what trees and what forests can do to help our environment. So we let it run at the Sisters of Mary first, and then it'll move across. We also had the principal there. We had lots of people in our different showings. Then the other thing that happened, the very next night, we kept hold of the screen so that we could watch another movie, and we had a fantastic night at the Oktoberfest. Great decor, fun, games, delicious food, lively music, and an unforgettable event. A huge thank you to PP Eddie Galvez and his committee for organizing. Please have a round of applause for Eddie Galvez. I know you thank everybody. And thank you very much to all of the sponsors and also for the advertisers as well. But the sponsors particularly made sure that we had a great evening, and you can see from the good pictures there. And as P.E. Eddie mentioned, well over 250,000 was raised as a net surplus. So congratulations, and we will do our best to direct this in the direction of end polio and other humanitarian projects. On the 20th of October, we had another end polio event, also with Reggie. Where's Reggie? He's not here. With Sec Reggie. And we participated in the district End Polio Now Run, which was raising funds, and it was a great time had by all. There is Reggie. I was there with, there's me, with Rachel. This is before, because I want you to understand, just so that you understand, this is for Ronnie's purpose, but very seriously, when you win a gold medal, it's very important to win the gold medal, because then, like Carlos Yulo, I haven't got 2 gold medals, I've only got 1. I haven't stolen them from the family just yet, but I could have 2 medals by the time I take hold of Rachel's. But I'm not sure whether Rachel's was a gold medal. But this meant that we completed the race. Now, I got to tell you a side story. We all did this. This is Julian, my son. This is Rachel, my wife. These 3 ladies are Julian's shadows. And we were all signed up for the 3K run. Julian and I came 7th and 8th. I don't know how they separated because we went across the line together, but anyway, we did very well. This lady and this lady, about number 42, and they did it in a... Okay? This lady then came next. We were quite impressed. This lady, we completely lost her. She finished up running the 5K track, and so she didn't make the time for the 3K, but well, she did make the time, but she came in about 50 minutes, so that's probably not bad for 5K. Anyway. Next project, so you can take that picture down now. Enough. Next project is just to mention, we have started the SPED training. So this is a Train the Trainer project for the teachers at the General Piar del Pilar School who do special needs, and they also are the teachers who take the special needs kids. And this was started last weekend, running 2 days for those teachers. It'll do another one this weekend. And then, in fact, on Sunday, there will be a program for parents and siblings so that they can better understand how to manage the behaviors of their special education or their special needs kids. And as a parent of a special need child, I know that this is important. Later on in the Rotary year, probably just after Christmas now, we will also be conducting full medical assessments of the kids to make sure that their diagnosis Well, their diagnosis is already there, but their needs assessed, which gets updated every year, is properly updated. For all of the kids at this school, they've not been updated since before the pandemic. Some parents can afford to update. We will sponsor the update for those children whose parents cannot afford for that assessment. So thank you to the members who supported this project, and now we're doing it and delivering it. Next project I want to mention, Global Grant. We have now started and inaugurated the Global Grant project in Indonesia, where we're the international partner. And you can't read it, but there is RC Makati. We're the international partner for this project. It's also a special needs project. This one is teaching special needs therapy also to teachers again. This time they're pulling in about 40 plus therapists around the country. They have well over 1,000 kids that they have to look after. They're all orphans and they're spread. There are 500 of them in this campus and the rest are spread around the country. It's a huge orphanage, and we're very pleased to be part of this global grant. Rachel and I attended there, as you probably heard if you were attending one of our earlier meetings this year. We're back in August rather. It says 5,000 orphans here, which may be correct, but anyway, our club contributed $2,000 US as well. Christmas is approaching. A classical Christmas. Put it in your diaries. The 10th of December, the 5th at Rockwell. We've just heard everything else about that, so I won't repeat it again, other than to encourage you to buy your tickets early, please. Looking ahead, we have other projects this weekend on Sunday, other than the ones which I've already mentioned, which will happen in the clubhouse here. PDG Peps and myself are going to travel to Kauai to attend the Feedback Project graduation, and hopefully also spend some time with our sister club, RC Kauai. If you would like to join us, speak very quickly to Ron and he will help organize that. Please note there will be no meetings on October the 29th or November the 5th, first being the last Friday of the month, the last Tuesday of the month, and the other one being a service week. Lastly, on the 5th and 6th, which may be a problem for our celebration. No, sorry, 5th and 6th. 5th and 6th. On the 5th and 6th of November, there are a group of 30 of us, 30 of us, not all Rotarians and spouses, who will be going to Taoyuan. You see, that's the way that it's pronounced in Tagalog. Taoyuan. Okay, so I might not get away with that one in terms of the correct pronunciation, but Taoyuan. They have their charter anniversary. This is a club in Taiwan. They have their charter anniversary, and on the 6th, and we would like any extra ones, please, to join us. It'll be a nice excursion, a little bit of sightseeing as well as everything else. Please, I pass you back to the person in charge. Inigo.
You can have this. Yep. All right. All right. So thank you, President Keith. So now we'll go to the main part of our meeting tonight. So tonight we will be asking our fellow Rotarian, George Haxton, to introduce the speaker. Let's give him a hand.
Good evening. Greetings to all of the Rotarians and aunts that joined us tonight. Tonight's speaker, while it's not a surprise to her that she's special to me, she did get surprised when I told her that she's speaking tonight. I ask of all of you to be supportive of her talk so that I don't sleep in the couch tonight. She is the division head of Sustainable Development Finance, BPI's flagship corporate loan product for sustainable projects. Prior to this assignment, she was head of economic research, wherein she forecasted macroeconomic and industry trends during and after the COVID-19 pandemic. The real estate and hospitality industry were two of the industries she closely monitored in the past 4 years. Prior to joining BPI in 2015, she worked on various USAID and ADB funded projects focused on sustainability, governance, and financial inclusion. It is none other than my beautiful wife, Annika Haxton. Please give her a round of applause.
Hello. Okay. Good evening. Yes, just a bit of a background. Good evening, everyone. Yes, I was surprised that I'd be speaking tonight. So just to break the ice a little bit, I think it was a few meetings ago where there was an economic briefing and one question was asked about, I think, MSMEs. And I just whispered to George, I said, hey, I want to answer that question. But then I immediately diverted the topic and said, hey, I have a good Christmas gift idea for Rotary. So, I was just babbling about it and he was like, that's a wonderful idea, let me tell CB. So he chases CB and then he goes, yeah, I told CB about it. I was like, perfect. I didn't know that he told CB about me wanting to answer the question. I thought he told CB about me, my Christmas gift idea. So all this while, up until last week, I thought that he relayed my Christmas gift idea. And then I got a Viber message from CB saying, good luck with your talk, things like that. So that's why I'm here. But I really, so that's a short story about how I made it here. But then, I'll try to make the most of this. I really want this to be insightful, but also collaborative. So usually, I do this a lot, but this is not going to be a product push. There's no marketing here, don't worry. But, a lot of people that I talk to think that sustainability equals cost, right? It's a lot of upfront cost, a lot of investment, both, in terms of learning about it and spending on, sustainable infrastructure. But it's very rare that you see business owners actually understand that sustainability can equate to profitability. And not just can equate to, it actually is. It actually equals profitability. So my goal today is really to convince everyone that investing in sustainable projects is key to overall profitability and viability for many MSMEs here in the Philippines. And just to give a bit of a background. So George mentioned that I used to do economic research and industry analysis. So I just wanted to provide a bit of color before I get into the nitty-gritty of sustainability. So I just wanted to paint like a picture of what we're dealing with right now and what the challenges that MSMEs are currently facing. So some key market trends. So allow me for my first few slides, I have a bit of notes here because I want to make sure I get my data right. So as the country entered the post-COVID economy in 2022, nominal consumption fared well as it returned to pre-pandemic levels due to pent-up demand and unusually high savings for the middle to upper income classes. However, as forecasted, real savings began depleting quickly in 2022 and is currently 20% below pre-pandemic levels, despite over 2 full years of unhindered mobility. And based on the latest BSP data, 70% of households were reported to have no savings as of the end of 2023 and were essentially living hand to mouth. And as we forecast, we see that savings recovery will most probably lag. So it's going to be a dragging recovery for the pockets of many Filipinos. And it's likely to be a gradual process given this high inflation environment, as well as changes to consumption patterns. And just to share with you a bit of a survey of HSBC, not only are there fewer households with savings compared to pre-pandemic, but more and more households are finding it difficult to allocate a portion of their income to savings. And that also goes back to the high inflation environment. And since prices are rising significantly quicker compared to wages. So wages are relatively flat, but prices are increasing exponentially. And so we expect that the coming quarters will be very challenging for businesses as households readjust their budgets amid a high inflation environment. So it's double-edged sword for MSMEs. They're feeling the brunt as consumers since their spending is really limited, and also they're affected by consumption patterns being the suppliers or producers because people are not buying as much. So bootstrapped or self-funded MSMEs are really hit the hardest. But I also like to acknowledge that the impact across different income segments is uneven. So I hope to add a little more color to that. Sorry, this looks it looked big in my laptop, but I hope to share my slides with you guys if it's okay. But so basically, this is just a breakdown of the composition of the Philippines population. So according to a report by the ILO, the inflation crisis is reducing purchasing power of the middle class and hitting low-income households particularly hard. So the majority of the challenges in this high inflation environment is really on the low and middle income classes. So this is because these two income classes spend their most of their disposable income on essential goods and services. So this is generally, these essential goods and services experience greater inflation compared to non-essential and high-ticket value items. So I'll just share with you a bit of my observations across different income segments. So for low-income households, actually, around 50% of their budgets is on food, okay? So households that have recently escaped poverty prior to the pandemic could easily be pushed back to it, given rising inflation. And though the middle and high income classes might find some wiggle room with their savings, and since a portion of their budgets may be allocated to leisure, luxury, the lower income classes may start to sacrifice needs. So as you know, the middle and higher income classes sacrifice wants, but the lower income classes are starting to sacrifice needs. So one of the main drivers of inflation right now is rice, right? So rice is driving our inflation print higher than expected. But given that we are a rice-consuming economy, we don't see that the lower income will consume less rice. So they're most probably going to sacrifice their protein and maybe substitute, right? So they'll eat less protein but still eat more rice. So imagine how hard it is for the lower income households to keep up with this inflation. Now, for the middle-income households, I wouldn't say it's just as tough, but it is also very challenging because the middle income spends twice as much as the low-income households on education and healthcare. And these are the two that are also driving inflation up. So for the middle class, inflation hits everyone, right? It hits all income classes. But for the middle class, it's exceptionally harder because while the cost of living increases, they also feel the brunt of higher taxes. So the middle class is paying majority of the taxes of the country. So even the investments of the middle class mostly are, loaned. So housing loans, auto loans, experiencing really high interest rates. So imagine all of these macro macroeconomic factors hitting the middle class at the same time. So we also see that, there's been substitution in essential goods. So the middle class is now starting to prefer cheaper brands. Also, we're seeing a lot of the middle class using retail outlets as a fitting room and then buying it on Shopee and Lazada, or, because it's cheaper. So we're seeing that, the substitution effect is really hitting these two income classes harder. But for the high income class, and this is very interesting, the upper income classes have a larger portion of discretionary items in their budget. So, and these discretionary items have not increased in price at the same rate as, let's say, food or transportation. So they also have assets, right? And so in a high inflation environment, assets are good, right? So, and this seems to work to their advantage in a high interest environment. And we're seeing that luxury good retailing is continuing to post double-digit growth amidst high inflation. So the likes of Louis Vuitton, Chanel, for the ants here, right? The price of Chanel in the store has increased almost 5 times since pre-pandemic. And they're posting their highest revenue figures right now amidst this high inflation environment. So we're seeing that there's a lot of appetite still for the high income classes. So I hope that just painted a picture of how hard it is for the low and middle income classes to get by these years of high inflation. Now, and there are heavier downside risks. We're seeing that the peso is slightly improving. Inflation is also slightly going down. BSP's rates is also starting to decelerate, but the risks are still heavier on the downside. So inflation skyrocketed towards the end of 2022 to 14-year highs. And it's expected to ease this year relative to 2023, but it will remain elevated relative to the pre-pandemic levels of around 2.4%. So against this backdrop of higher inflation, economic growth appears to be slowing. And we believe that the full impact of the interest rates has already been felt in early 2024. So, all things remaining equal, we don't see another rate hike, assuming all these risks are managed. And an interesting thing here is employment polarization. So unemployment averaged actually better than pre-pandemic year to date. So we're at around 4% year to date, and that's better than the pre-pandemic levels of 5%. However, even if we're seeing the employment picture improve, middle skill jobs have decreased. So this leaves the majority of the additional workforce in low skill and informal jobs. So these low skill informal jobs are actually what's pushing our unemployment rate lower. So it really doesn't paint a clear picture of what's happening at the lower to middle income level. And though, given these assumptions, so our forecast is a moderate 6% on average economic growth in the next 2 years. And just to share with you, it's not in this slide, but office vacancy right now is at double digits. So we're at around 25 to 28%, depending on the area. And we're not seeing that improve anytime soon, given that, it's really a shift in consumer preference. Companies moving nearer their employees. So what's happening now is before, especially call centers, they were concentrated here, right? We had hubs, call center hubs in Metro Manila. But when their workforce went home to the provinces during the pandemic, they had a hard time bringing them back to Manila because they're already, used to the work from home setup, cheaper rents, cheaper transportation costs. So now it's the companies that are going, they're decentralizing from Metro Manila and putting up smaller hubs in the provinces. So again, this is something that is also challenging for MSMEs in the coming years. Now, what we're seeing is a sluggish growth due to spending fatigue. So we're really seeing that right now. Consumer spending is still strong, but we are at the highest in terms of credit card usage and credit card outstanding balances right now. So people are rolling over their money by, loaning from one credit card, using it to pay their other credit card, converting things into installment. So middle income households are most challenged because they are more in debt and they have zero savings. So that is really a scary thought if we're not going to solve the problem of MSMEs. And, businesses now are selective also in capital spending. So projects are put on hold, especially because of the double-digit office vacancy. No one wants to build office spaces here anymore. Even malls, right? Retail outlets are seeing how they can convert their spaces into warehouses, fulfillment centers. So, office expansion here in Metro Manila is really paused. So you don't see much private construction right now. And on top of that, we still have to deal with these environmental challenges and other issues that hinder our competitiveness. Again, the brunt of which are felt by our MSMEs. So we're having stronger and more frequent typhoons in recent years, right? Even without any typhoon signal, just habagat rain, right? Or just a low pressure area can really shut down businesses for 3 to 5 days. Those yellow, orange, and red warning signals come, very, very randomly. We're also averaging about 20 earthquakes per day. Not all of those are felt. And then the continuous sea water level rise. So amidst all these macroeconomic risks, you have environmental challenges. Plus, another thing, the high cost of electricity here in the country. So Philippines #1, not quite, because we're #2. Oh, we're #2. So we're not #1. So, but we're among the most expensive, electricity in the region. And not just expensive, buti sana if it's expensive because it's reliable, it's expensive and unreliable. So, right, during the summer times, we had red alerts, we had rotating brownouts. Some of these things you saw back in the 80s and 90s, you never thought we'd experience it again. But here we are with all of these things that are really hitting MSMEs very hard. Okay, now I want to kind of weave that in to why I'm talking about sustainability today. George asked me that, why are we talking about MSMEs and sustainability? I think synonymous for me. Because the only way that these MSMEs will get through these tough times is if they do not escape from these sustainability principles. So where are we right now? Honestly, when in my job, I talk to a lot of these MSMEs who have no clue what sustainability is. And these are the reasons they give me why they would choose to defer projects that would generate income in the long term. One, of course, is that it's too much work. People think from a regulatory perspective, so many permits, so much things to look out for. Sustainability is a new thing. It might not work. Technology is too new. What do we do? There's also a lack of appreciation regarding its impact on financial outcomes. So again, sustainability equals expense. But we're later in the following slides, I hope to change your mindset when it comes to that. And also the perception that sustainability is primarily an environmental concern. CSR, good to have, good to do. And there's no direct benefit to the bottom line. So given these things, they think that it's taboo. It's a new term that they don't want to explore, similar to AI, I guess. So it's something that's very scary for them to navigate. But we want people to understand that sustainability actually drives innovation. There's no escaping sustainability anymore. And it's also because government is already taking a close look at sustainability, compliance. New buildings right now all have to be compliant to the Philippine Green Building Code. New hotels and resorts have to have, their wastewater and waste treatment facilities in place in order for them to get a permit to operate. So really, there's no escape. This is not, a time to decide if you'll do it or not. It's really when and how fast, and if you're willing to face penalties. Because us as banks, we face hefty penalties. We're paying in the billions. because of sustainability laws and regulations that we need to comply. So what we're saying to MSMEs is that you should view compliance as an opportunity, right? I mean, it sucks to have to, to get a new regulation that you feel like is out of touch, like, the government just thought about this, we don't know how to implement. But I think it's about time we view it as an opportunity to actually, start something that will make us money in the long term. And once we get into that, so there are numerous entry points, right? You don't need to be passionate about it. It actually might just be you have to do it because you're going to be penalized if you don't do it. So there's actually a lot of entry points to sustainability. But as you go through the process, it actually makes value chain sustainable. So if you start integrating sustainability measures in your supply chain, there would be less disruptions, there would be less back and forth with your suppliers. The value chain would be easier to manage. And of course, that also influences the way we design products and services, and especially even us at the bank, because we're mandated. So first of all, we are mandated. And now other banks are trying to learn how to actually do it. And as they learn, they see that there is appetite from the consumers. And not just appetite, there's actually demand. They are demanding, investors are now looking for sustainability measures when they make investment decisions. So it's something that will create innovative solutions for the future. All right, so just to give you a rundown, regulations are really starting to integrate sustainability. So we have BSP regulating banks to loan 25% of their portfolio to sustainability projects. Imagine 25% of an almost 2 trillion portfolio. That's how much banks need to lend to sustainable projects. So I think there was a question in the last economic briefing, right? Like, where do we get the funds? There are a lot of funds. But as an advocate myself, I'm not wearing my banker hat. I do acknowledge that there are a lot of bottlenecks why MSMEs can't borrow. And that's also something that we're trying to learn as we go. And I will share with you where we're at later on. So SEC is starting to require publicly listed companies to have sustainability reporting. But I think we're seeing that eventually they will require this for all corporations, not just publicly listed ones. And as I shared also, on Philippine Green Building Code, you're required to comply with this to be issued a building permit. But there are some local government units that are actually stricter than the Philippine Green Building Code, such as QC, Mandaluyong, Cebu, Pasig, and Makati. They have actually more stringent laws for buildings to make sure that they are energy efficient and they are climate resilient. Oops. Slide. Okay, so this is the push here. Okay, so sustainability as a value add for MSMEs. We see that sustainability will eventually generate new revenue by creating new opportunities for market differentiation. And of course, increase supply chain resilience by enhancing sustainability and operational efficiencies. Increase attractiveness to a wide range of investors. The pressure on banks is really on, especially for green bonds, blue bonds. So no longer are investors as attracted to these vanilla bonds. They're really looking for investments that would channel their money to sustainability. So there's a lot of demand for sustainability. And of course, an added bonus is being ahead of the curve. Sustainability is a relatively new word in business, but if you're ahead of the curve, it will assure business continuity. Oops. Okay, so I guess this sums up what I've been trying to say in my last few slides. Aside from the economic and financial benefits, there is resilience and risk mitigation, compliance to regulations, adherence to global standards, and alignment with market demand. So there's a really clear business case for sustainability. Okay, so this is what I kind of wanted to share with you, and this is a work in progress. We're really trying to bridge the financing gap. We're meeting with the USAID, the UNDP, all of these multilateral agencies to sit down and discuss what is it what's the disconnect, right? So there's so much capital that needs to be channeled into investing into sustainability and MSMEs. Why are they not connecting the supply side and the demand side? And these are the three problems that we've highlighted, and I hope to also share with you the solutions, which we have started also in BPI. So number one is lack of technical guidance on projects and initiatives. Sustainability is relatively new. So when you talk to businesses about renewable energy, why don't you put solar on your rooftop? Or why don't you get inverter chillers and ACs instead of, the non-inverters? They just don't know how. They don't know how to start. They don't know the value. They don't know what to do or how to go about it. So in BPI, we really try to handhold these MSMEs. And mind you, these can be non-borrowing MSMEs. This is not a value add for, when you loan with us, you can get this for free. It's free at the onset for all MSMEs that need help in making their projects that need financing sustainable. So if you go to BPI and ask us, how do we get started? Our technical consultants help you out. If you end up getting the loan with Land Bank at a more competitive interest rate, we're happy. It's still free. There's no cost if for the MSMEs to avail of this free technical consultations. The second problem are high interest rates, right? So usually MSMEs are offered personal loans because they don't have collateral, right? Or informal lenders, cash, the online loan apps, that's what they resort to with really, really high interest rates monthly. So we see as high as 10 to 20% per month. For MSMEs that do not have any, they do not have any credit history or, don't have any collateral. So what we also are thinking about is a savings-based financial option for sustainable projects. So let's say, for example, there's a company that is currently spending 500,000 a month on electricity, and they want to put up solar on their rooftop so that at least they get to save 20 to 30% per month. So that 20 to 30% is what we look at, and that's what the amortization that we try to match. So at least net, the MSME doesn't end up spending additional. So they're spending, how they would usually in the typical cost of electricity from the grid, that's what they'd pay for. But over time, they're getting to pay for this, this investment that will eventually pay for itself in the long run. So that's something that we're looking at also. And this last problem is something I hear from so many MSMEs, and also this was raised as a question in the last, this is the question I was telling George that I wanted to answer. So, no proof of credit worthiness. So how will an MSME borrow if we've never loaned before? Or, my principals aren't those big names. They don't have deep pockets. We don't have much savings in the bank. So what do we have to show for? So this is something exciting that we're working with a lot of, even the GCash, utilities. We're exploring possible data points in partnership with utilities, e-wallets, telcos, because your payment behavior actually, when it comes to paying your Meralco, is a good indicator of creditworthiness. If you pay your Meralco bill on time, no matter if it's 500 pesos or 100,000 pesos, if you pay it monthly on time, that's a high chance that you would pay your loan on time. If your GCash, it has it's used for transactions because GCash is very rich in data. You pay credit cards there, you pay utilities there, you send money to your family members, even your retail spend is logged in GCash. So if banks can look at that and kind of build a story around it so that these MSMEs or these new to bank clients have something to show for, then maybe, that's what I was telling George, I really wanted to answer this, maybe this is the solution. This is the start of unlocking this finance that we have. A lot of banks need, we actually end up paying penalties because we cannot loan out enough. There's not much people are taking it up. So there's this so much capital that is yet to be tapped. And so hopefully with these solutions, MSMEs will start being, open to the idea of borrowing from banks, and that bridges the financing gap. Oops. So, this is not a BPI product push, but, BPI has always been at the forefront of sustainability. So, right now, I'm the division head for Sustainable Development Finance, and we're the only bank. So just to give you a rundown of the projects that we finance, any sustainable project. So if there's a mall that wants to upgrade their chillers or their HVAC systems to inverter, we can finance that. Renewable energy, we can finance that. Climate resilience projects, if you want to start, put up a green building, whether that's an office building or a retail space, that's something that can be financed under SDF. Sustainable agriculture, water management systems, pollution control, you name it, all these sustainability projects can actually be financed by many banks. And this is what I was mentioning. This is the start of something that is truly and genuinely sustainable. A lot of us in the team are actually the development workers. We're not bankers by profession. I myself, I'm not a banker by profession. I'm actually a development worker. I've been working with nonprofits ever since. So what we're really trying to do is bridge that, right? And we think that this is a bold step that so far, we're actually happy to share with other banks if they would be, if this is something that they would want to look at. But for BPI, we see that even if we provide this for free, of course, these consultants are expensive. You go to DOE and you mention one of these consultants' names, they'd be like, oh, that was my professor back in blah, blah, blah. That was my mentor. So these are esteemed IFC accredited consultants. But why do banks offer this for free? Well, I can only answer for BPI. That's because this is a risk management tool for us. We believe that if projects have been evaluated, have been clearly thought of, and have been, assessed for technical feasibility and financial viability, then that would make these projects less, there'd be a lower chance of default because their projections are in line with the the technical findings of our consultants. So again, we see sustainability as a de-risking tool. Now, my call to action would be, if a bank can see sustainability as a de-risking tool, what more the companies that would actually benefit from this financially? So just to share with you some success stories. These are two of my favorites. So one is a 19-story office building in Arca South, Taguig. This is Bamberton building. I can name it because he's like one of our poster boys. He loves talking about his building. So this is Deo C of the Everbelena Group. And so he collaborated actually with Bridgestone Tires when green buildings were just relatively new. So what he did was he came up with the first high-rise building to use a base isolation system. So what's a base isolation system? So Bridgestone Tires provided the rubber. And so these are like rubber cubes, 1 meter, I think 1 or 2 meters wide. So they are shock and rubber absorbers. Okay, so when there's an earthquake, the building up to the top floor only feels 10 to 20% of the actual magnitude. And that's because these rubber shock absorbers are absorbing the magnitude of the earthquake. And it's not only safe for the tenants, but they actually saved on cost because there was 20 to 30% savings on steel and concrete. So they spent less on steel and concrete because it was rubber that they used. And aside from that, the building has a rainwater catchment system, solar glass panels, heat-resistant glass panels. And you know what? At the height of the pandemic, at the height of the office vacancies, this building was fully occupied. Why? Because tenants wanted to stay in a place where they felt safe, where they felt like they were actually saving money on electricity because the building actually is energy efficient. So it actually is a clear business case, right? So another one, so that's a big project. Okay, that might not be MSME, but I'm happy to tell that success story anyway. This one is a PV solar fuel save project. So a beach resort in Coron, Palawan spent 9 million for photovoltaic solar. Basically, it's a solar energy project. But So the project cost was 9 million. The value of energy savings, and this is actual 2.3 million pesos per year starting on the first year. So before the fourth year, it was ROI. Even before their loan amortization, their loan matured, the project was basically paying for itself. And so, these are just a few of the cases that we encounter every day, of sustainability stories being more than, a nice to do or a good to do. It actually generated income for these businesses. And I think this is one of my last slides. Why sustainability makes business sense for MSMEs. Of course, I hope I made the financial case clear today that it improves cash flows, it results to higher margins, reduction in energy costs, and overall, it's a positive on the bottom line. For operational, it improves operational efficiencies because the productivity and the management of facilities, increased equipment reliability and availability. On in the environmental front, that's relatively clear. So there's decreased emissions, better waste management, and even for the employees, there are better work conditions, healthier environment overall. And lastly, but not the least, it's really compliance. So as we generate money from these sustainable projects, it actually helps us adhere to sustainability laws and regulations and avoid eventual business interruptions and penalties. So I know that was jam-packed. I do hope that, to circulate the slides with you so that you can go through it a bit in detail. But basically, that's it. Thank you very much.
We'll open the floor for some Q&A. The mic is in the middle, maybe for a few questions. PP June will be doing first, and the Treasurer Tony after.
Anika, can you talk to the jeepney drivers and convince them to abide by the government's program of modernization? What's the problem?
Yes. Thank you for, was that a question? A request. Thank you for that request. But, that is actually aside from, the sustainability goals of the government, which is very clear. I think the larger thing here that might not have been studied is the social implication, right? That's the one thing where they really can't find any common ground. These jeepney drivers, if you give them the wages that, that they would have lost if by doing these upgrades, I think they'd be more than willing. But I think there's a disconnect when it comes to what is expected of them, right? Because I think they're being provided a subsidy for the upgrades. And I think that's not even the full cost of the jeepney, right? It's a subsidy. But what about those days that they would have to, halt their livelihoods? And these, most of them, their wives don't work, right? It's them that really make a living for their family. So I think this is not so much them not seeing the environmental benefit. I think everyone sees that, and it's clear that that is the end goal of the government. But it's more like the social part of it. Like, these people are living hand to mouth. So you cannot tell somebody to, hey, you know what? Wait 2 years. Wait a month. They cannot see that far. These people don't see past tomorrow. So that's really the problem here. They're not looking at how this will make me money in the long term. They're looking at what will I bring home to my family. So I think that's largely the disconnect here. But we're happy to, to see. Actually, this is something that BPI was trying to pursue also, to see how we could provide support to the government, and maybe, if it's something that would make sense. But I think there's a long way to go in terms of having this really well thought out modernization plan that would, leave nobody, wageless for the coming days. I hope that answered your question.
Treasurer Tony, you can take the mic.
Yes, Anika, many of us back there were very impressed with your presentation. We had a running bet whether you were from Ateneo or La Salle, and I lost.
I think I want you to
And
guess.
I lost. I lost, so I am asking the question. That was the bet. So anyway, you probably gathered by now, our club is endowed with resources, and we use practically all our resources for community service. Okay? I'm asking you the question, it's not related to MSMEs, but it's related to something you did in the past, which was development work. Okay? It also has to do with finance. We support two types of projects that I can think of right now. One is ARC Foundation, which provides livelihood support and poverty alleviation. We started in Bae, Laguna. President Keith, how many communities do we have now in ARC? Sorry, alam mo? For ARC. ARC Foundation. Or two. Am I correct? Philip, Ron, do we have two ARC communities?
That's ARC.
30? No, ourselves. Our club. Our club. Our club. Anyway, we have more than one.
More than one.
We have more than one community that we help. So, ARC Foundation, and the other one is Tuloy sa Pagunlad, which is a microfinance foundation. And I picked up from your slides that you used technical help because a lot of people who need the assistance would not know where to start. We ourselves worked with ARC and Tuloy sa Pagunlad because we had the money, we didn't know how to deploy. So we could either help out communities by giving them outright cash or working with other NGOs. Which one do you think is the best sustainability project for us? Outright cash, microfinance, livelihood projects. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for that very loaded question, which I really hope to shed some light on. So, definitely, just to answer your question point blank, I don't think that outright cash would be the way to go, right? I mean, you know that when you're working with the grassroots, outright cash is just going to build a culture of dependency. So as a development worker, we also did not practice that. So there were times that, even with socialized housing projects that I worked on in the past, the foundation really didn't need money back, but they needed to build a habit for those beneficiaries that they were paying for something no matter how small. So this was something that I did work on a socialized housing project before. It was basically, on paper, it was a donation. But we didn't want the beneficiaries to know that, right? Because that's going to build a culture of, oh, okay, maybe I can ask for this and ask for this. So they were actually paying 10 pesos per week, because these are the poorest of the poor. So 10 pesos per week, which just, was basically channeled back to them in ways that they didn't know. So it was channeled back to them through other programs, other social development programs. But, I think more than the program, I think something that we need to address when working with the grassroots is putting that corporate structure to it, or that discipline that this money or this resource needs to be managed properly. So in any way or form, whether that is an outright donation, microfinance, things like that, it's always going to have problems if they are thinking that this is something that, is being offered to them because they need it. So what we used to do when I was working on USAID projects is we were asking them to come up with a monitoring and evaluation plan. But we taught them how to do it. So there was, okay, this is the money, where does it go? And given that, what happens out of it? So they get to follow, that the cycle of that donation or that grant, and it kind of built, that may yabang factor. So it's something that they bragged about because I know that the 100,000 peso donation of Rotary actually gave light to 500 communities here. And because of that, it actually gives them additional income of 47 pesos a day because at night, instead of using the, what do you call this, Prospero, the candles, they actually have light. So things like that, no, we want to give them tangible things that they own. So a little ownership of the whole program, it actually goes a long way for them because once they feel like they have skin in the game, once they feel like they're part of the planning, they're part of the implementation, then they don't look at themselves as beneficiaries but project proponents. And I think that's the most important thing when we're dealing with grassroots. They have to have that sense that, hey, I'm helping run this project. I'm not just being given this, money. I'm managing it. I know where it's going. And, parang, I think that's the push that they need to get out of that cycle of, ayuda, being very dependent on donations. But just to offer also my help, I'd be very happy to work with you. I'm actually a grant writer by profession. So I raise funds. I'm a professional beggar. That's what I would do in my past jobs. I would raise money for foundations. So that's something I'd be happy to discuss with you guys also, how we can, kind of channel funds there in a more formal setup. That's all. Thank you.
Okay, so any more questions? Paulo. Yeah.
Hi, Anika. Thank you for your talk tonight. I have two questions, but the first one is more like a compounded question. So just want to clarify, for the first question.
Louder.
Hello?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So for the first question, is it really classification of MSMEs in terms of capitalization and things like that? And related to that, what loan sizes are you willing to give for that? And is it really funding MSMEs or their sustainability projects?
Okay, thank you for that. So to answer your first question, yes, it's based on capitalization. Sorry, that was the first question. Okay, so maybe you can ask also the second question so that you don't stand up.
The reason I'm asking the first question is because I've been to a lot of forums where there's actually a very big disconnect. We've heard a lot of banks saying that they lack projects to fund, and that I think almost all banks want to tap to this green projects, right? For the green bonds and the blue bonds. But I've heard also a lot of project proponents where, they, like for renewable energy, they approach the banks and they have projects that are like $300,000, and they have studies that show it's viable, it's feasible. But when they approach the banks say, maybe you can approach us when this $2 million worth or something like that. So there's a disconnect. So far, what we've seen is that banks are, for tapping to the Green Fund, what they actually funded were socialized housing or mass housing projects in terms of sustainability. But for renewable, unless, of course, it's solar, there's, like, you need to make it bigger. That's why I asked for the loan sizes.
Thank you. So yes, it's MSME based on capitalization. But to answer your question, I was kind of nervous at the ballpark you were going to give for MSME loans. But I'm happy to say that BPI actually 5 million pesos is the minimum loan amount for SDF. So that's way below your 200,000 US dollars that you said that other banks were not looking at. So yes, it's MSME, and we're really funding the MSME sustainability projects. So we've done as small as 3 million loan size, 3 million pesos. So this is actually can even be for personal consumption. If a house, right, has a solar on the roof, that could easily be, fall into that bracket. But yes, for SDF, it's really MSMEs, and actually 5 million, even below 5 million loan amount, if it's just 1 million, 2 million, they can still avail of the free technical consultation. And it's still something that BPI looks at, even at the 2 million, 2.5 million peso loan amount that for solar, we also consider that. That's ano. So actually, the $2 million, you mentioned $2 million, that's actually already our project finance team that handles that. So it's really MSME talaga. Thank you.
Okay. So we also have a phone-in question, and just two last questions. So I'll read. How can MSMEs view compliance as an opportunity to drive innovation and long-term growth, rather than just a regulatory requirement?
Yeah. So I think, it's almost like this is the, the start of something that would actually generate interest in sustainability. So actually for compliance, there are laws that can already be applicable to MSMEs, such as the, I think the Plastic Producers Act. So there's an act that requires all products that have plastic waste to upcycle that plastic. So it should be net zero. There should be no waste. So everything should be upcycled. Everything should go back to the manufacturer. So that's something that may impact MSMEs. But for personally, I think sustainability is a journey. It's not something that you see the business case at the onset. But that's why technical know-how is important, because we also do not want MSMEs to venture into sustainability projects not knowing what's in it for them financially. So we don't want people to do it because solar, because there are sustainability projects that we've said no to. So there was one, it was a manufacturing plant that operated mostly at night that wanted to do solar. So obviously it didn't make it didn't make sense for their business. But he thought solar, solar is gonna save me money. It's gonna cost him so much more money if he goes solar. So we don't want businesses to do this just because it's cool, or just because maybe they'll get more funding if they have solar instead of a gas, diesel powered, whatever. But it's really, that's why we're very proactive in providing technical assistance, because we want businesses to see the cash flows of these projects, and we want them to see, we want them to do it because they know it's gonna make them money. Money talks. What we always say is you need to turn your business green to gold. So it's not enough that your business is green, it's doing good, it's saving the environment. It has to make financial sense for the business. So that's why we think that compliance is an opportunity, but it shouldn't be the end all be all for sustainability projects. Because if you're just going to rely on compliance, then you can fall flat on your face if you choose the wrong project to venture into.
Okay, so to indulge lang, the second question is similar to what you mentioned earlier. I'll just read. Could you share some examples of MSMEs that have been successfully developed new business models around sustainability while creating innovative solutions for the future?
Well, that would be, I'm very careful about mentioning names. Yes. But, we've seen a lot of our clients who are actually, didn't know that they could make their businesses sustainable. So we've seen, I'm just thinking of the best project I can think of. We saw that we had one client who was putting up a resort in one of the tourist areas. I think that was Palawan or Boracay, if I'm not mistaken. So first, they just wanted to get the permit, so that's why they contracted our technical consultants. But they didn't know that if they put up like a rainwater catchment system, that could actually be used by by their what do you call this, their customers. So, they saw that it was actually a new revenue generator. So it wasn't just something that they were able to do for compliance. They were actually able to make money out of it. They were actually able to recycle that water and make it into something that made them money. So
and without mentioning names, I think this goes for a lot of MSMEs that are not even aware that their projects can be sustainable. But if they see the business case for it, sometimes that's where the aha moment happens. Like, I'm doing this because I can offer, this is a marketing tool. Sometimes, I mean, most of our building developers do sustainability as a marketing tool because they do know that office tenants prefer LEED certified buildings. They know that, it's more marketable in this, unfavorable economic environment, that if it's green, if it's certified, the market is kind of more receptive to those types of buildings. So it's not just innovations like new products and services. It can actually be in the form of marketing, and again, I'm not here to say do that because it's going to be, it's good marketing. And I think it's clear that because we offer the free technical consultation, it's clear that we believe that it's a risk management tool at the end of the day. It's really something that, eventually businesses cannot escape. It's something that needs to be done. It's just a matter of like when and who's going to be ahead of the curve.
So thank you for answering all the questions.
Thank you.
Very insightful, and thank you for sharing your expertise. So we'll give a response by President Keith.
Allow me to say a few words. So thank you very much, Annika. Very interesting indeed. Thank you for reminding us of how the current environment, the 59% and the 40% are really suffering with inflation, and sustainability becomes all the more important. How our electricity is the second highest in the ASEAN region, second only to Singapore, and yet is the most unreliable. And yeah, I know we have this problem in the province ourselves. But particularly trying to make us think now more broadly that sustainability isn't just high expense and and following regulations, but actually is the opportunity to innovate. So thank you very much for being our guest speaker this evening. We have a small gift for you. In recognition of your speech today, talk today, we have a plaque, and this plaque is an environmental plaque, and it has some element to the sustainability of our planet, and it is for the regeneration of reefs. We have two places, one in Navakan in Ilocos Sur, and the other one down in Batangas, and a replica of this plaque will be placed on a reef bud for you, to thank you for today. Now, obviously, you're not going to be able to drink the water around it, so therefore we have also provided you with a bottle of wine. Thank you very much indeed for your talk today. So with that, there is a raffle.
So we have a raffle for the event tonight. So who will it be? And the prize is a bottle of Macallan. I can see IPP Louis has his eye on it. And the winner is Ambassador Melvin. Perfect.